believe I'm gonna die because I got a bad heart. I don't believe I'm gonna die because of lung cancer. I believe that I'm going to be able to die what I was just the thing that I was born for. I believe that I'm going to be able to die high off the people. I believe that I will be able to die as a revolutionary in the international of the struggle.
Party leaders Mark Clark and Fred Hampton were killed in the raid. 4 of the 7 surviving occupants of the apartment were wounded. All were charged with assault and attempted murder.
I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and we both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. And then I was, I just began to realize that the information that I had supplied leading up to that moment had facilitated that raid. I knew that indirectly I had contributed, and I felt it, and I felt bad about it. And then I got mad, and then I had to conceal those feelings, which made it worse. I couldn't say anything. I just had to continue to play the role.
FBI headquarters authorized payment of a $300 bonus to informant William O'Neill for, quote, uniquely valuable services which he rendered over the past several months, unquote.
Judas Iscariot, surname Ish-Karat, or a man of Karat, which was a city in southern Judea, was the only Edomite Jew among the disciples. Coincidentally, sold the Messiah out for 30 pieces of silver, compared to the inflated price of O'Neill selling Hampton's safe house location for 300 to Joseph Caiaphas, the high priest who was mentioned in the Bible as the third witness, was also an Edomite appointed by the Edomite Herodian dynasty at the time where Edomites tore down temples, sacrificed pig, and promoted Pharisees and Sadducees in the seats of the judges. So much like the parallels of this country, FBI agent Roy Mitchell was none other than a high priest Edomite instructed to destroy the potential rise of a Messiah. As the story goes, Judas hung himself out of guilt, and Bill O'Neill, after his interview with PBS, 2:30 in the morning, ran out in traffic and was hit by a car on Martin Luther King Day. Now, I find that strangely coincidental, because he was with his uncle drinking beer, and his uncle reports he was acting strange and just got up and ran out of the house. I believe his handlers found out about the PBS documentary and didn't want the Edomite plot of killing yet another would-be Messiah to cause a bigger problem as it did during the MLK riots, so he was sacrificed.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs. Political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out, and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
Oh, we all need yellow fever. Oh, God, we all safe and secure. We all need
left as Booker T. Washington, Thurgood Marshall, Richard Pryor, Sugar Ray Robinson, Nelson Mandela, Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, Scottie Pippen, Shaquille O'Neal, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Medgar Evers, Nat King Cole, Reverend Calvin Butts, James Clyburn, Benjamin Crump, Elijah Cummings, Don King, Roland Martin, Michael Jordan, Ricky Smiley, Tom Joyner, Bill Cosby, and Steve Harvey all have in common besides being black men.
My brother over at Truth Unedited did an amazing job shedding light on Prince Hall and the Black Church. You should check that video out after this one for perspective. Freemasonry is the most segregated religion on Yah's green earth. White Freemasons have their lodges, Prince Halls have theirs. They are the epitome of master and house slave relationship. They are the gatekeepers between you and how white Freemasons, some Edomites, want to control you. They infect our community with their step and fetch religious doctrine.
One way to heaven, no one way to paradise. It's like television. Now it's over 800 channels of cable, and they're all pretty entertaining. So I'm pretty sure, man, that to get to heaven, there's got to be more than one route. Because somebody watching another channel or taking another channel than you, they still getting entertained, and they probably still getting to heaven.
Is one of the mistakes that human beings make is believing that there is only one way to live, that we don't accept that there are diverse ways of being in the world, that there are millions of ways to be a human being.
There is one way and only one way, and that is through Jesus.
There couldn't possibly be with the millions of people in the world. There couldn't possibly be.
Because you intellectualize it and say there isn't. If you don't believe that, you're all buying into the lie.
Even before Oprah and Steve Harvey, Prince Halls affected every so-called organization, so you found reason to rely on people who took oaths to Greek gods instead of the Most High God. The real reason the government feared the Black Panther Party because they were not under Masonic control through Prince Hall Freemasonry.
Urban Southern whites with Puerto Ricans and blacks. I don't think there had ever been anything that substantial in any urban environment.
For poor white people to be working with poor black people was unheard of.
Black people and white poor people and red poor people and Puerto Rican poor people and Latin American Puerto Rican people of poor people of all descents. They had them caught up in movements based on racism when the Black Panther Party stood up and said that we don't care what anybody says. We're going to fight racism, not racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity.
Fred Hampton was feared because he could connect all races of different social and economic backgrounds for one common goal. Fred Hampton did this without being a Prince Hall, BGO, or Boule, and had the smarts and masculinity to pull it off at 21, creating the first Rainbow Coalition.
Government couldn't make him and couldn't destroy him. They shot him and he multiplied.
What are the odds? Black Judas's Prince Hall BGO Jackson was around MLK at the time he was shot, then shows up to speak at the funeral of Fred Hampton.
I am personally grieved over the death of Fred Hampton because he was a personal friend of mine.
A personal friend who steals Fred's idea and recreates the Rainbow Push Coalition. I'm telling you, these House Negro Prince Halls are the snakes, the Judases sent in by the high priest, government Edomites to water down all of our organic social movements, take them over, and keep our people managed and yoked to a government that its one priority is to destroy and pervert children before they even reach masculinity. Hands out, bent backwards, till you all look like this spiritually.
Those officers fired 99 shots. Federal grand jury concludes that only one possible shot could have come from a Panther weapon.
The account that we gave of the event is the truth.
Hanrahan is a madman. Police officer who did that assassination then walked away from it and said to other people, Bobby Rush is next.
Former Panther leader, now longtime Congressman Bobby Rush, believes divine intervention is the only reason why he wasn't in the apartment that night.
Divine intervention? Remember, he's mentioned with Bill O'Neill the night that this went down. The fact Bobby Rush, as a Prince Hall, was around Fred Hampton later in the movement should show you that the FBI led by a white passing, cross-dressing, closet homosexual 33rd degree Freemason, J. Edgar Hoover, sent more than just Bill O'Neill. They sent the House Negro delegates to infiltrate the Black Panther Party so years they would later seem to have real standing and the black community would be for them. Bobby Rush is also a pastor, and being a former Panther and a social movement, became a politician and voted for the 1994 crime bill. You can't make this up. They are not the cream of the crop. They are the black sticky crap at the bottom of the barrel.
As also noted, Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, it's more than the name we're not going to forget. It's his courage.
There's a second thing that we all have agreed upon, and that is unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing.
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision.
He did as good a job for you as he could. As far as he was concerned, there was no such thing as too much for West Virginia. But the one thing he would not do, even for you, is violate his sense of what was required to maintain the integrity of the Constitution and the integrity of the United States Senate so that America could go on when we were wrong as well as right.
Let me ask you, reparations. The House held a panel this week. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, talked about Biden's support for reparations, but she stopped short of saying that Joe Biden would sign the bill if it got to his desk.
Well, he's supported a study of reparations, which I believe is what's being discussed, and studying the continuing impacts of slavery, which is being discussed in this hearing on H.R. 40, I believe it is. And he continues to demonstrate his commitment to take comprehensive action to address the systemic racism that persists today.
What do you make of that?
It was a really telling moment. What I make of that is that White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki wanted to be cautious on this topic, but it's a topic that especially African-American voters and Black women who were key, integral to President Biden winning this election.
I don't know what liberal Black women are on, but you need to get off it. Now you're referring to yourself as an entity apart from your own race. So you can be, check my notes, the bedwench of the political party who founded the KKK. You are not getting reparations. You're barely collecting the stimulus. They want to bring that bill to the floor so Republicans can say no like they usually do with money, and mainstream media is going to have a field day with Republicans being named white supremacists started by people who keep having great things to say about members of the Klan. The World Economic Forum is preparing for a reset where the slogan is, you own nothing and be happy. Biblically, when Yah sent you over here as bond women and bond men, he said, no man will buy you, no government will redeem you. Be dumb and fall for the trap of getting a check for a vaccine and calling it reparations.
Why don't you